Now for our program. So I am, Byron is out of town. He was going to introduce Lee and Karen. So he's in North Carolina, so I'm going to do it. I have already apologized to our illustrious guest speakers because I was not prepared. But I'm kind of good at this. So I know if you looked at our meeting schedule, we have Dr. Holbrook as our speaker, but she's here for moral support. And she's a member. Actually, Lee Williams is going to speak. Lee, you're a CFRE, right? And I'm probably missing a whole lot of other things that you do, but she is very well known in fundraising with USF. In fact, she's in charge of it, right? Yeah. And she did come to our joint board meeting and presented, I think it was just to the executive groups, but she presented on endowments and fundraising, and it was so good we felt like we should bring it in front of the board. Where so many of you sit on boards and sit on boards that do fundraise, we felt that this would be helpful to you, and it will also help us with our own foundation as we move into our fundraising. Sharon and Ann Welty are working on a fundraising plan. I think Janine's helping, and Betsy Benak too, that we're going to present to the whole club. So we're trying to make sure everybody gets a good understanding of how this works. And no one better than Lee to come and explain it to us. So Lee, you can take it away.
Okay, can everybody hear me? Great. Hello, Zoom folks. Thank you so much for joining. Christy, thank you very much for that well-prepared, extremely eloquent introduction. That and all my gray hair tells you I've made every single mistake there is to make in fundraising. But I am honored to be here today, and hopefully some of this information will give you the nuggets and wisdom that you currently don't have, or maybe help answer questions that you have as it relates to fundraising. So what you'll see here today is basically an umbrella. I put fundraising in an example which hopefully everybody understands. And in my book, if you have all of these panels in an umbrella without the base of the umbrella or the stem, you're going to get wet. So I thought, what better way to present fundraising than with something everyone can relate to. And feel free to ask me questions during the presentation, or if you have any questions at the end, that's okay too. So the first panel of our fundraising model is events. Events are great opportunities to showcase your logo, to brand your message, to network, to bring people together, something we haven't been able to do during COVID-19, but everyone misses. Events are great, they're lovely. What events are not are very streamlined, strategic ways to raise major gifts. And why, you ask? Because they are time, labor, and resource intensive. It takes a heck of an amount of time to produce an event, to bring people to it. That's why I say, after 30 years of fundraising, that's why I say events serve a purpose for branding, messaging, networking, but they're not the best in terms of face-to-face major gift cultivation where you can really make an impact on your mission and your community. The next panel of our umbrella is the annual fund. Everyone here, I believe, has made an annual fund gift to some nonprofit, religious organization, arts and social, whatever it is. And an annual fund is really a fancy term for small gift. Annual funds, if you'll think about a pyramid, and hopefully everybody can see this, I'm not hurting the Zoom people. A pyramid has a peak, right? But it's also got a base, the flat base. An annual fund gift is where multiple donors make a lot of gifts, and generally those gifts are small. And at the peak of the pyramid, at the tip top, are fewer donors who make a gift of a lot more. So annual fund is important in that your fundraiser ought to wake up every day, and he or she ought to be interested in moving people from that base of the pyramid on up through to the peak, moving the smaller, consistent donor up to a gift which has greater impact. And y'all forgive me, I'm a fundraiser, I've been one for a zillion years, so my zest for reaching the big gift, hopefully is not offensive to anyone's sensibilities. And you've all participated in annual funds. Back when everybody had a landline, you got a phone call from a nonprofit. You've received a mail solicitation for an annual fund. These days, they have text to give. They also have 24-hour matching gift opportunities. So a lot of different ways to move your lower level base donor up through the efforts to make a bigger gift. Another panel in our umbrella is corporate sponsorship. I think y'all are great at this. Corporate sponsorship is a lovely way to spread your message, share your mission, and find common ground. I would imagine if Kiwanis has an interest in increasing or expanding its membership, connecting with corporations locally would be a lovely way to let people know of the great work that you do and, more importantly, of the impact that you have. In my mind, if Kiwanis has more members, it's got more people who can ask for those annual fund gifts, the base gifts, and more opportunity to bring people up through to the top of the pyramid in making larger contributions. But corporate sponsorship is important because it provides access to a company's Rolodex, and it also allows you to share and showcase the respective mission of the company and the nonprofit. Great ways to partner and make a difference in the community. The next panel we have in our umbrella is prospect research, and you might say, what the heck is prospect research? Prospect research is a profession, and the experts in this field are able to assess capacity, not inclination, but capacity. Let me give you an example. If I lived in a fancy schmancy zip code, someone could do their research through all the national databases that exist and do a little research on me and tell the fundraiser for Kiwanis, hey, that Lee Williams chick, she's capable of making a $10 million gift. That's lovely information to have, but it has nothing to do with donor inclination. I might be partial to giving to support efforts to turn battered women into successful, independent people who return to the society versus, books for school children. While I may have the money, the fundraiser doesn't know which project speaks mostly to my heart. But prospect research is an important component of a robust fundraising program. It's very important to ensure that your fundraiser is talking to someone making an ask of the right dollar amount. If you are evaluated for $100 million and I come to you and ask for 1,000 and you say yes real quick like, I know I've blown it because you gave me what I wanted and scooted me off the stage, out of the way. If I challenge you and present an opportunity to support the organization with a meaningful ask that's going to make you think, how committed am I to this mission and the impact of my gift, then I've made the right donor or dollar ask for you, the donor. Hopefully I'm making sense. All right, the next panel is stewardship. Who doesn't want to feel good about their gift, right? I mean, it's hard enough letting loose of your hard-earned dollars, but once you do, you really want to feel good about it. And a great way to feel good about it is to be thanked and appreciated for making that gift, right? And we all have heard that phrase, you can't thank people enough. So flippin' true, unbelievably true. Your fundraiser is going to send a thank you note. Honestly, I think that's a given. If your fundraiser doesn't send a thank you note, shame on them. But the head of your organization ought to send a thank you note. It's extra super duper meaningful if a person who receives the gift and has experienced the impact of that gift firsthand writes a thank you note. If there are meaningful ways to turn a transaction, here's my check, give me my tax receipt, get out of my face, into something that I feel bonded and really committed to the mission of the nonprofit, that's really where you want to go. Let me give you an example from a corporate perspective. It costs a lot of money to get a brand new client. It costs less money and less effort to get a repeat client to purchase more business, to expand the service that the company is providing. Same thing with nonprofit management. If I need to convince someone to consider making a gift to my organization for the first time, it takes a lot more time, a lot more effort than it does if I've stewarded, thanked someone plenty of times, made them feel really good about their initial investment. If I return to them and ask them to consider another gift, maybe increase their gift, it's less time consuming, and I have a greater chance of getting a repeat gift than an initial gift. Hopefully that's making sense. The next component in our umbrella is planned gifts. Okay, this might be a turn-on, however. Ideally, nonprofits want 3 types of gifts. They want people to make a gift yearly. That's that base of the pyramid. Remember the smaller, maybe obligatory gift. Hey, I'll give you $25 if you'll just give me back my time, get off the phone. You know, sometimes I must admit I feel that way when somebody calls in the middle of dinner or such. But nonprofits want an annual gift. They'd be thrilled if you make a multi-year pledge. That helps them with budget. That helps them with impact. That helps them with fulfilling the mission. But the ideal, the gift of a lifetime, is an estate gift or a planned gift. Of course, estate attorneys are expert at this. I am not. However, I think there are great opportunities for estate gifts, such as a simple bequest. I'm going to leave you a certain asset in my will. I'm going to give you a certain percentage of my holdings when I leave the earth. There are such things as lead trusts, annuity trusts, gifts of appreciated assets. I tell you, the most economical way to support your favorite nonprofit is to give an appreciated asset. And forgive me if this is a repeat, I'm sure you all know it. However, if I buy 1 share of stock at $100, my cost to buy that stock is $100. Very good. All right. So I hold my stock, the stock increases in value, and say now it's up to $1,000. And I love Kiwanis so much, I'm going to transfer that 1 share to Kiwanis. I get a tax write-off for $1,000, the market value. Kiwanis gets a $1,000 gift to share. But what does it cost me? $100. So if you are creative in talking with your prospect base, your current donors, you can always talk to them about making a gift of an appreciated asset, which could also be given through an estate gift. Once you leave the earth, you're not going to need your money, right? Anyway, lots of great creative ideas, and I think planned giving is a real critical part of any fully functioning, comprehensive major gift program. The next panel in our umbrella is membership. And I'm just sort of shooting off the cuff here because I've never been a fundraiser for a membership-driven organization, but if you'll bear with me, my initial impression is, hey, you know what? The more members, the more opportunity Kiwanis has to get people in that base of the pyramid, the annual gift, the greater opportunity you have to move people up to the tip of the pyramid. And with more members, the potential is there for more dollars. With more dollars, that means greater impact. That's just the world according to Lee. I'm sure it's a bit more complicated and there are nuances that I don't know or haven't considered, but I would imagine increasing your membership really provides an ample opportunity for you to make an even bigger difference in the community with all the great things that you're doing. Let's see. Yep, that's all I have to say about that. All right. Next panel, programs. You know, when we talked about the capacity to make a gift versus the inclination to support your cause, I think of the word programs. Is it Patrick? Patrick talked a little bit ago about helping feed hungry people and how important that is. That is a great cause. That may or may not appeal to everyone. So I think establishing your programs based upon your mission and where you know your clearly assessed need happens to be in the community is really important when you message to people about considering making a gift. If Manatee County has a monster need for food to feed hungry people, and Kiwanis is talking about building a stadium for the local high school, there's probably a disconnect, right? So if you all are in constant conversation with community leaders and you understand, and I'm sure you do, where you best fit within meeting the particular needs of this community, you're really not going to have as much of a challenge in asking people to consider making a gift of impact as your internal voice might tell you. You know, I cannot tell you how many times I've really withheld telling people what I do, especially at a party with my husband, because telling people you're a fundraiser isn't necessarily popular. The women grab they clutch their bag, and the men protect their back pocket because, you know, I'm after their money, or so they think. But anyway, so hopefully this information will help demystify and make fundraising, or at least the concept of asking people to consider making a philanthropic gift, a lot less painful. Just a couple of more slides. Other. I think constant evaluation of your program is healthy. If you all are able to take a temperature check in your numbers, in other words, how many members does Kiwanis have, and what percentage of the membership actually give, what percentage of the membership has made provisions in their bequest or estate to support Kiwanis upon their departure of the earth. I think having some of that data and those statistics will help your fundraiser determine where they should or could concentrate their time and effort. I mean, I like to tell people fundraising isn't brain surgery. If it was, I wouldn't be in it. I have a little bit of guts and a little bit of instinct, and the rest is just the University of Hard Knocks. But I really like putting in other to remind people, constantly evaluate where your efforts are being successful, assess what's not working, and figure out how to patch it, assess what is working, and talk about how to enhance it. And if there's anything else in the middle, you always ought to be visiting with your leadership, and I'm speaking from your fundraiser point of view, to ensure that Manatee County benefits from everything and all that is Bradenton Kiwanis. Okay. The main point of today's conversation is the base of the umbrella. If you don't have someone waking up every single day and thinking about, how do I make a bigger impact on the mission for Bradenton Kiwanis by going out in the community and asking others to consider making a gift, you're really missing the boat. It's like walking around with an umbrella with all those 9 or 10 panels and no base, right? So if you have the correct base, you've got a fully operational umbrella and a robust fundraising program. And ultimately, it's a comprehensive infrastructure that makes sure you are walking in the rain and not getting wet, that you're spending your time visiting with people, asking them to consider making a contribution to what you feel is most important. And that, my friends, is my presentation. Happy to entertain any questions that you have. Yes, sir.
You find most organizations can find somebody within their organization to be that person that's sort of the head of the solicitors, so to speak? Or do you have to go out and find somebody and pay a professional to get it done?
I'm going to answer that question in the most snobbish way I can possibly consider. And you know where I'm going with this. The world according to Lee is, if anybody can do it, it's generally not going to get done. Or it will get done, you'll be event-centric and dollar poor. Consider the source. That's how I make my living, right? But if you don't have the financial wherewithal to hire a professional fundraiser at a certain amount, then consider farming out or contracting the most critical components of your program. And there are ample contract workers in this community in particular. I mean, my boss, Dr. Holbrook, has given me permission to advise different nonprofits of opportunities where they might want to readjust their focus. I don't think you have to pay a ton of money, but I do believe you need a professional someone who's going to be able to navigate the nuances and be familiar with the booby traps. The thing that freaks me out the most, and I hear it so often with nonprofits, somebody will say, oh, if we only get 1,000 people to give $5 each. Do you know how much time that's going to take? The major vein in my head is going to explode. No, thank you. Don't want to do that. But what I'd rather do is cultivate those who have already showcased their passion for the institution, for the nonprofit, look at the data, see who actually walks their talk, because everybody will say, oh, I love your organization, but you really don't know how much they love you until you see if you've got a canceled check, right? And have a sit down with those who have supported the nonprofit and really say, you know what, we want to be more to you. Tell us what it is that you need to hear or know or see or touch or feel or do to take the next step in the conversation for a meaningful gift. If it's a major gift or transformational gift or whatever it happens to be. But I think you do need a professional, but I always tell nonprofits, try it. When you have that aha moment and you realize I was right, call me back. No hard feelings, no judgment. I get it. It's expensive. It's an investment. But if you do it right, it's going to yield greater results. And rule of thumb, whatever you pay your fundraiser, you can legitimately expect an 8 to 10 times salary plus benefits return. Say if you're paying a fundraiser 75 grand and say you also offer benefits for easy's sake, because I can figure it quickly in my head, say the outlay of cash, salary, and benefits is roughly 100 grand. In the course of a year, you can expect between 800,000 and $1 million, or you should be able to, in terms of a robust prospect pool, a professional, and someone who wakes up every day trying to figure out how the passion can be deepened in the current donors and amongst the prospects. Does that help?
Yeah.
Lee, specific to your 8 or 10 times, are you speaking in cash, or does that normally include planned gifts of the future?
A great question. It could be either. I mean, estate gifts are, well, let me say it this way. Pledges, estate gifts are not legal binding contracts, as you know, Janine. This is your area, you know. So if I pledge $5,000 a year for 5 years, a gift of 25 grand, a pledge to Kiwanis, and I decide after year 2, I don't like them anymore, they tick me off, or heaven forbid I have a financial concern. All I need to do is pick up the phone and call the fundraiser and say, you know what, as much as I would love to finish, I'm unable to. Please do not send me a payment reminder. When I'm back on my feet, you're the first on my list. It's not a legal contract. The nonprofit can't rush me like like a crazy person and try to take my wallet. But that's why we count in our industry, we count estate, bequests, appreciated assets, which are hard cash, multi-year pledges, annual gifts, all of that. Yes?
Do you judge those, if you're trying to consider the effectiveness of your fundraiser that you've hired, do you judge those things the same, cash in hand versus pledges and bequests and that kind of stuff?
I think it depends on the structure of the nonprofit. That's a great question. How you evaluate success, how do you claim victory in knowing that you're operating to achieve your goals? If Kiwanis was a food bank predominantly, you would probably evaluate success on the number of people you fed this year versus last year versus a 3 to 5 year moving average, right? Or would you evaluate success based upon how stuffed and how full your food coffers are versus the people that you're dispersing the food to? As a greedy fundraiser, I'll be the first to admit it, I want every penny I can get, and I want to be respectful in soliciting the gift, but most importantly, in showing my appreciation to the person who let loose of their hard-earned money. I'm a donor, I get it. I've given to USF, and I recently told a nonprofit, take me off your list. You've ticked me off, you don't listen, you don't care, you're just after my checkbook, I'm turned off. Take me off your list. And it took me 6 weeks to get off their mailing list. So I share that to say, I've been in your shoes when the fundraiser solicits you. I've been there. Thank you. Thank you. It was great to meet y'all virtually. I'm sorry we couldn't be here face to face. Thank you. Oh, yes, sir.
You mentioned the efficiency of giving appreciated assets.
Yes, sir.
I think we should also mention the efficiency, especially in estate gifts, of giving money from retirement accounts
Oh, yes.
as opposed to from ownership,
Absolutely.
direct ownership.
Thank you for bringing that up. Retirement accounts are golden. Whatever makes the most sense for the individual donor and his or her future plans with their retirement, with their disposable income, with appreciated assets, all of that is very important, and each has its pros and cons, its benefits. And honestly, I must admit, it's not my area of expertise, but I know really smart people that I call to say, hey, I'm dealing with Lee Williams, here's her situation. Which methodology to make a gift would you advise and why? Allow me to sound halfway intelligent so that when I visit with the donor, it makes sense for him or her.
Lee, I have one last question, because we have some younger members who are who have invested in some of the non-traditional equities. So is USF accepting Bitcoin at this time for donations?
We are not accepting Bitcoin at this time for donations.
How about shares of marijuana farm?
Seriously, yep.
I believe we would accept those, however, I would need to ask the VP and say, hey, does this give you a heartburn? Yes, you're gonna sell it anyway.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you for
So how this is measured by the golden rule. We follow the golden rule, and this is a golden ruler to measure your future success.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
You are
Thank you
very
so
welcome.
much. Yay!